segregated South into 1,000 pieces and put them together in the image of God and democracy. We must say, wake up, America, wake up, for we cannot stop, and we will not and cannot be patient.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Just give it all you got and not get weary. Be hopeful, be optimistic, and take the long, hard look. We have some difficulty. They will have some difficulty. They will have some setbacks, but you cannot give up. You cannot give in. You will make it. They will lead us.
Thank you, John Lewis. Thank you, John Lewis.
Stony the road we...
Hello and welcome to
Congressman
the
John
Humboldt
Lewis is a
Universe.
champion of the civil rights movement and one of its leading figures,
Excuse me, having
marched
some
alongside
technical
Dr. Martin Luther
difficulties.
King Jr.
Okay. Hi, sorry about that. My name is Scarlett Tripsmith and I'm with the Humboldt Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and I will be your technical liaison for today. We please ask that you stay muted during the duration of this service, but please keep your cameras on because we'd love to see your beautiful faces in our congregation. If you'd like to access the rest of the faces in our congregation, if you move your mouse to the upper right corner, you should see an option or a little box grid that says View Gallery or switch to Gallery View, depending on what device you're on. So another important housekeeping item is our chat function, which we will be using for our joys, sorrows, and celebrations today. Our joys and sorrows and celebrations will be sent to Suzanne Kimmel. So how do we do that? If you hover your mouse over participants and scroll over to Suzanne Kimmel, there will be an option for more. In more, if you press chat, you will have a private message to her that you will be able to send your joy, sorrows, and celebrations to, and she will read them at the appropriate time and place a stone in our sacred font. So, thank you. And I, without further ado, would like to introduce Bonnie McGregor for our chalice lighting and aspiration. Thank you very much.
So you might have been surprised to have a Lughnasadh service start with John Lewis, but one of the things that happens is we plan our services ahead and then life happens. And there was no way we were going to start a service without honoring him. And I'm glad we had a little technical stuff before I had to speak, because it just brings tears to my eyes. But it's a gratitude. So we'll begin this morning with our chalice lighting. With the able assistance of my beloved Cynthia. The chalice lighting is from Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass, and it's her chapter on the gifts of strawberries. Strawberries first shaped my view of a world full of gifts simply scattered at your feet. A gift comes to you through no action of your own, free, having moved toward you without your beckoning. It is not a reward. You cannot earn it, or call it to you, or even deserve it. And yet it appears. Your only role is to be open-eyed and present. Gifts exist in a realm of humility and mystery. As with random acts of kindness, we do not know their source. And now we'll join together in renewing our aspiration. I was reminded recently that sometimes we just, it can become a sort of pro forma. When I was a child, we had a blessing before every meal. And when I was very young, that was very meaningful because I was learning all the words. And then as I got older and would come in from play and was hungry, I'd start saying it faster and faster, all in one breath. And so as we're parted, it's hard because we don't have the full company of all of us reciting and renewing this aspiration. So this morning, let's remember that it's not just something we say every service, but it's a renewal of a commitment to a way of living that is really the heart of who we are as UUs. So let us join together as we renew our aspiration. May love be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And Luce is going to bring back our story for all ages this morning as she begins this wonderful service that she has brought to us as a gift.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So I'm going to read you a story, and this is from the book called The Maid of the North, Feminist Folk Tales from Around the World by Ethel Johnson Phelps. Illustrations by Lloyd Bloom. And the story is called Stars in the Sky, an English tale. So you can get cozy if you want to settle into your seat or lie down and turn your camera off. Just open your heart and your mind and receive the story. There was once a girl who wanted to touch the stars in the sky. On clear nights, when she looked through her bedroom window, the stars twinkled and glittered in the velvet blackness of the sky above. Sometimes the stars seemed like diamonds, sometimes like tears, and sometimes like merry eyes. One summer evening, the lass set off to seek the stars. She walked and walked until she came to the dark, satiny surface of the mill pond. "Good evening," said she. "I'm seeking the stars in the sky. Can you help me?" They're right here, murmured the pond. They shine so brightly on my face that I can't sleep nights. Jump in, lass. See if you can catch one. The lass jumped into the pond and swam all around it, but never a star did she find. She walked on across the fields until she came to a chattering brook. Good evening, said she. I'm off to find the stars in the sky. Do you know how to reach them? Yes, yes. They're always dancing about on the stones and water here, chattered the brook. Come in and catch one if you can. The lass waded in, but not a star could she find in the brook. I don't think the stars come down here at all, she cried. Well, they look as if they're here, said the brook pertly. And isn't that the same thing? Not the same thing at all, said the girl. She walked on until she met a host of little folk dancing on the grass, no taller than herself. They seemed very elegant in their clothes of green and gold. Good evening to you, little folk of the hill, she called, taking care to be polite. I'm seeking the stars in the sky. High silvery voices rang out. They shine on the grass here at night. Come dance with us if you want to find one. The lass joined the round ring dance of the little folk and danced and danced. But although the grass twinkled and gleamed beneath their feet, not a star did she find. She left the dancers and sat down beyond the ring. I've searched and searched, but there are no stars down here, she cried. Can't you tell me how to reach the stars? The dancers simply laughed. Then one of the company came over to her and said, since you're so set on it, I'll give you this advice. If you won't go back, go forward. Keep going forward, and mind you take the right road. Ask 4 feet to carry you to no feet at all. To carry you, and then tell no feet at all to carry you to the stairs without steps, if you can climb them. If I can, will I be up among the stars in the sky at last, she asked. If you're not there, you'll be somewhere else, said the little man, and he ran back to join the dancers. With a light heart, the lass stood up and went forward. Just as she was beginning to doubt that she was on the right road, she came to a silver gray horse beneath a rowan tree. Good evening, said the lass. I'm seeking the stars in the sky, and my feet are weary. Will you carry me along the way? I know nothing about stars in the sky, said the horse. I am here to do the bidding of the little folk only. I have just been dancing with them, and I was told to ask 4 feet to carry me to no feet at all. In that case, climb on my back, said the horse. I am 4 feet, and I will take you there. They rode on and on until they left the woods behind and came to the edge of the land. Before them on the water, a wide gleaming path of silver ran straight out to sea. And in the distance, a wonderful arc of brilliant colors rose from the water and went right up into the sky. I brought you to the end of the land, said the horse. That's as much as 4 feet can do for you. Climb down now, I must be off. The lass slid from the horse and stood on the shore, looking about her. A large fish swam in from the sea. Good evening, fish, she called. I'm looking for the stars in the sky. Can you show me the way? Not unless you bring the word of the little folk, said the fish. I can indeed, she answered. 4 feet brought me here, and I was told no feet at all would carry me to the stairs without steps. And here she is on the arc of the brilliant, colorful arc. And I don't know if you could see the horse at the bottom. In that case, said the fish, I will take you. Sit on my back, hold tight. Off he swam with the girl on his back, straight along the silver path toward the bright arc of many colors. As they came to the foot of it, she saw the broad stairs of color rising steeply into the sky. At the far end of it were the merry, glittering stars. Here you are, said the fish. These are the stairs without steps. They're not easy to climb. Climb if you can, but mind you hold fast and don't fall. So she started off. It was not easy at all to climb the bright colored light. She climbed on, and it seemed she moved very slowly. Although she was high above the sea, the stars were still far away. She was very weary, but she thought, I've come this far. I won't give up now. On and on she went. The air grew colder, the light more brilliant, until at last she reached the top of the arc. All about her, the stars darted, raced, and spun in dazzling flashes of light. Below her, stretching down into darkness, were the brilliant colors of the stairs with no steps. She had reached the stars in the sky at last, and she stood transfixed with joy at the sheer wonder of it all. After a time, she became aware that the air was icy cold, and the hard, brilliant light of the spinning stars made her dizzy. Shading her eyes with her hand, she tried to see the earth below, but all was in darkness. No warm flicker of hearth or candlelight could be seen. Then in one last yearning effort, she stretched out her hand to touch a flashing star. She reached farther, farther, until suddenly she lost her balance. With a sigh, half of regret, half of contentment, she slid down, down, faster and faster into the darkness below. All sense left her. When she opened her eyes, it was morning. The sun shone warm and golden on her bed. I did reach the stars, she thought with joy. But in the safe stillness of her room, she wondered, or did I dream it? Then she opened her tightly curled right hand, and on the palm of her hand lay a brilliant speck of dust. And I hope that story opens your heart to the spirit of nature and the spirit of gifts. And I think we have the joys and sorrows next. And I also wanted to say, I know.
Lughnasadh.
Okay, I will get to that, and it's pronounced Lughnasadh. And I'm going to talk about that. But first we're going to do the joys and sorrows. And I also want to invite you, if you want to put in the chat to Suzanne, along with the joys and sorrows, if you're new or you haven't been here in a while, you can introduce yourself there so we can welcome you. And I see that my good friend Mariana is here from my hometown. So welcome, Mariana.
Thank you, Luce. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. And I want to read a small poem as an introduction to this time together. It's called You in Others, Others in You, by Jacob Trapp. What is precious is you in others. others in you. We enter into the being and lives of others as they do into ours, sometimes momentarily, sometimes enduringly. This is what love essentially is, to be part of one another, in simple sympathy, in close friendship, in shared perceptions, in sorrow and in joy. Love is when persons exist for us with such intensity and such density that our lives are transformed because of what they are and speak to us from the depth of their mystery, as we do to them. Love does not desire to possess, but to share, to give, to communicate. I'll now read from the chat, those that are sharing their joys and sorrows and celebrations. From Devorah Kaufman. Prayers for my friend Carol Nushauser, who is suffering with COVID-19 at her home in Tucson. And I'm adding a stone with every share. From Michelle Hastings, joy of more quality family time. From Birdie, was wonderful chatting while holding up Black Lives Matter and Huff signs yesterday. Great affirmation from all the people honking in support. From Sylvia Duroy, please share that Sylvia is asking for people who are interested in being part of an advanced directive group to call her. Excellent. From Scarlett, I get to see my family soon and give my mom a hug after not seeing her for a while. I'm most excited for this celebration. Sounds wonderful. And from Sylvia, grateful thank you to Amy Day and banner holders who have made the Black Lives Matter banner holding happen. Nice. And from Sue Lee Mossman, Archie and I share our joy and gratitude of celebrating 47 years together this past week. Half of Archie's 94 years. Congratulations. Wonderful. And from Sylvia, on behalf of Martha Devine, Granny, remember Mother Earth is our foundation to life. Thank you. And those are, oh, let's see, one more. Anne Wadham, I am grateful for my vacation time with my family. Lovely, very sweet. This is all I see. Thank you so much for sharing your joys and sorrows. I'm going to add one last stone for all those that remain unspoken in our hearts. And now it's back to Luce.
Okay, hello again. And I apologize, I see that I actually went out of order from what it says on the order of service. So normally we would do a moment of silence after the joys and sorrows. So we're gonna do that later. But I think it's good that we hold those joys and sorrows in our hearts as we move forward through the next part of the service. Okay. Just a minute. I'm sorry. I'm doing a service right now. Okay, so I can't stop. Can you steady? Okay, thank you. Okay. The joys of working from home. That's Danae. Okay, and she is a gift. So what is Lughnasadh? And this is a Celtic holiday in the ancient Celtic belief system. There's what we think of as the wheel of the year. And so we're at the place in the wheel right now where the harvest of the first grain was celebrated, and the first fruits. It was very much based on agriculture and the seasons and the cycles of nature. And so this would be a time to celebrate that harvest. So Lu is the god whose name is in the name Lughnasadh. And he has several different things that people associate with him, but one is the sun god. And so at summer solstice, that was when we had our longest day of the year. And the light from there began to wane. And we're at the point in the year now where the days are actually getting visibly shorter. While we celebrate the harvest, it's also a grieving time. It's the end of something. Summer is starting to wind down and move towards the darker time of the year. So this time was also, it's said in the mythology that the god Lu actually started this festival as mourning games or grieving games for his stepmother, Tailtiu, who was the goddess who actually brought agriculture to the people and prepared the land so that they could grow food. And in doing so, she died. And so she gave herself back to the land so that the people could live. At this time in our history, we can just go to the grocery store to get food. It's a lot easier for most of us than it was in the time of many of our ancestors. And so the harvest of the grain was actually a life or death matter. If there was a good harvest, then people would be healthy through the winter time. If it was not a good harvest, death would be sure to come to many. So this is some of that grain and fruits would be put into food for nourishment and also stored for food, and some of it saved for seed for the coming year. So in this way, the cycle of life continues. And as far as reconnecting with nature and the gifts of the earth, I'm hoping we can open our hearts to a way to connect with that, to reconnect with our food and where it comes from. And one really simple way that you can do that just every day is every time you have a meal or put anything in your mouth, to practice mindfully eating. And you can do that by just opening up all your senses to the experience of that food that you're taking into your body. Putting down your phone or the newspaper or any other things that you might distract yourself with. We all do that. So yeah, try it and see how that is. I find that the food seems to taste a lot better and the experience lasts longer. And then another way, it's kind of funny to be talking about reconnecting with nature as we're all here on our computers or phones. But try to get outside, maybe today after the service, even if it's just out on your balcony, or just look at the sky, look around you, see what beauty you see. I'm sure every one of us can see something that's beautiful outside if we look closely and mindfully. We're gonna work with this idea of gifts and reciprocity. So next we're gonna see a video of Robin Wall Kimmerer, who Bonnie read from her book with the chalice lighting. And she's gonna talk about the honorable harvest, and it's a beautiful video. So I hope you enjoy it.
If I could choose just a single element of the traditional teachings that we're called to pick up, it would be the teachings of the honorable harvest, which were taught us by the plants, who give us everything that we need. It's a covenant of reciprocity between humans and the living world, a very sophisticated ethical protocol. One of the first steps of the honorable harvest is to understand that the lives that we are taking are the lives of generous beings, of sovereign beings. And in order to accept their gift, we owe them at least our attention. To care for them, we must know what they need. And at the very minimum, we should know their names. And yet, the average American can name over 100 corporate logos and 10 plants. Is it a surprise that we have accepted a political system that grants personhood to corporations and no status at all for wild rice and redwoods? The protocols for the honorable harvest are not really written down, but if they were, it would look something like this. When you get to the woods, you don't just start grabbing everything in sight. We're taught never to take the first plant that you see, and that means you'll never take the last. This is a prescription with inherent conservation value. And then if we encounter another plant, we ask permission. I've always been taught to address that plant, to introduce myself, and tell it what it is that I have come for. If you're going to take a life, you have to be personally accountable for it. I know there are places where if you talk to a plant, they think you are crazy, but in our way, it's just good manners. If you're going to ask, you have to listen for the answer. You can listen in different ways, pragmatically, intuitively. Look around, see whether those plants have enough to share. And if the answer is no, you go home. For we remember that they don't belong to us. And taking without permission is also known as stealing. And the Honorable Harvest counsels that we also take in such a way that does the least harm and in a way that benefits the growth of the plant. Use everything that you take. It's disrespectful of the life that's given to waste it. The next tenet of the Honorable Harvest is to share it with others, human and non. The earth has shared generously with us, so we have to model that behavior in return. And a culture of sharing, we know, is a culture of resilience. Plant gatherers often leave a spiritual gift behind, but it can also be a material gift. Weeding, caretaking, spreading seeds, helping those plants to flourish. We give songs, we give ceremony, we give our respect, we give fertilizer. Every breath that you take is a breath that was made for you by plants. And the water that you drink, whether you're in an urban setting, whether you're on a remote mountaintop, we still are recipients of those gifts. And if we take the time to be grateful, that brings us into that state of humility, of understanding that we are not at the top of a biological hierarchy, that in fact we are the younger brothers of creation.
So here is where we would have done the joys and sorrows, but we already did that. So we're going to go into our moment of silence next. And I'm going to start that off by reading a poem, and then we'll take about a minute of silence. And I invite you in that time of silence to come into your senses and your breath and just focus your attention there. Summer Heat by Darcy Schneider. Summer swells to bursting, lush of leaf and bloom. Taste the flesh of ripened berries melting on your eager tongue. Succumb to the teasing touch of tender breezes on your sun-soaked skin. Sink into the sensuous welcoming of warm and secret spaces. Let the voluptuous earth have her way with you. Respond in kind to her passionate gifts.
Spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then, and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing
It's like your whole life, you've been training for this moment, and when the time comes, you just disown it, meaning you just surrender, don't control it, not interested in the clay pots and mold it, or sitting next to the path trying to unfold it, or waiting for the fruits to fall down toward you, let it go, and now you're flowing, feeling quite gorgeous, so you take steps away instead of towards it. What a rush, feeling freedom with nothing to hold. We've been taught that what you touch will always turn to gold, and now we're learning when we let it go, it overflows with no credit to take, cause no credit is home. A higher power working deeper where the seeds are sowed, and when the seeds are true, then they're seeds of gold. But the real gold is joy when life starts to flow, and when it does, you just smile cause now you know. I spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then, and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, whatever grows will grow.
When it grows, it grows.
Whatever dies will
And when it dies, it dies. Come on. If it works, it works.
Whatever flies will
let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
Fails will fail.
When it fails, it
What's
fails.
meant to soar will soar.
And when it soars, it soars.
I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow.
Let it grow, let it
whatever
grow.
dies will die.
When it dies, it dies.
Whatever works will grow.
When it works, it works.
Whatever flies
Yeah.
will fly.
Let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
fails will fail.
When it fails, it
What's
fails.
meant to soar will soar.
Let it soar.
I am planting seeds
and nothing more. some more.
As we move into the offertory portion of the service, I am going to start that by reading you an excerpt from Khalil Gibran on giving. And I ask you to open your hearts in generosity and sharing of the harvest. You can make a donation to the Humboldt Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on the link which Scarlett will share. You can also go to the website and get the address if you'd like to mail a check. You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say, not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Surely they who are worthy to receive their days and their nights are worthy of all else from you. And they who have deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserve to fill their cups from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay, the charity of receiving? And who are you that people should rend their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may see their worth naked and their pride unabashed? See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving. For in truth, it is life that gives unto life, while you who deem yourself a giver are but a witness. And you receivers, and you who are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon they who give. Rather, rise together with the giver on their gifts as wings. Okay. Beautiful. So we're going to do a short activity, and I would love for us to have time to share, if you like, what comes up for you with that. And we'll have time for that after the service. So please stick around, and that would normally be called our coffee hour. And that's the time for us to socialize, and I would like also for that to be a time to just share any insights from your heart that came up for you. So with the harvest, we receive gifts. There can be a surprise in it. It can be things that we cultivated, and something maybe that we didn't know we had cultivated. But so there's, in the harvest, we receive the gifts of the land. And also there is loss in it too. And there is gratitude, and there is generosity that we can share. And so the exercise is going to be, if you have a piece of paper and a pen nearby, please grab that. If not, that's okay. You can just hold that in your heart. And I'm going to give you a few prompts, and then you can just take a minute to write down what comes up for you. So I'll give you just a minute to get your pen and paper. So the first question is, what have you lost during this difficult time of the pandemic and social upheaval? And just write down as many things as come to mind. Just take another moment. And then stop writing there, and just take a moment to hold those losses in your heart. You can think of holding them with love, or as you would a good friend or a child, and all the feelings that come up around those losses. And remember that all of us here in this community are here together, holding each other in that space of love. As in our aspiration, may love be the spirit of this fellowship. And I encourage you on your own time to take as much time as you need with that. And for today, we're going to move on to the next prompt. And that is, what do I still have? And take another moment with that. And to take that a little further, what gifts do you have that you can share? What do you have in abundance? Just take another minute or so to really open your heart to those gifts. Okay. And it's just about 12 o'clock now. So we are going to close with a chant, and then Bonnie will extinguish the chalice.
Da 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 da. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Our hands will work for peace and justice. Our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land. Peace and justice, our hands will work to heal the land. Gather around the harvest table. Let us feast and bless the land.
So I'll extinguish the chalice with these chalice words from Thich Nhat Hanh. Your mind is like a piece of land planted with many different kinds of seeds. Seeds of joy, peace, mindfulness, understanding, love, and seeds of craving, anger, fear, hate, and forgetfulness. These wholesome seeds and these unwholesome seeds are always there, sleeping in the soil of your mind. The quality of your life depends on the seeds you water. If you plant tomato seeds in your gardens, tomatoes will grow. Just so, if you water a seed of peace in your mind, peace will grow. When the seeds of happiness are sorry, when the seeds of happiness in you are watered, you will be happy. When the seed of anger is watered, you will get angry. The seeds that are watered frequently are those that will grow strong. So as we go forth this week, remember to water the wholesome seeds as we go from here in peace and go in love.
And you could put your hands up if you'd like. And usually when we're in person together, we hold hands for this song. So just imagine that we're holding hands and we're connected by our love, whether we're touching or not. From here in peace, go from here in peace, go in love. Go from here in peace, love. Go in Shalom, assalamu alaikum, and blessed be. Thank you all for being here. And please stick around for the coffee hour.